Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, lived a little girl named Apsaline. She lived with her father and mother in a stone house on the great hill. One day Wait, who's Apsaline? That's not my name. Once upon a time, in a land far, far away... I'm not from a land far, far away. That's a fairy story. Once upon a time... This isn't making sense. I'm dreaming. I'm having a fever dream. That's why it keeps repeating. And that means I'm not dead? Question mark? Aw, Madeleine! Poor sick Madeleine. Slowly, painfully, I open my eyes. The first thing I notice is discomfort, like a day-old burn running up from the center of my chest up through my throat. Ow. My mouth is dry, my head heavy and sore. I won't be going anywhere in a hurry. The next thing I notice is that I am no longer in the dungeon. Oh, that's right. I'm in a nice looking place. Wait, there's bottles. Am I in the pharmacist room? A good bed, a soft pillow, silk sheets, and no smell of sweat or decay. How long have I been sleeping? Have we come home again? Oscar? I hope that is only confusion and not a sign that your eyesight has been damaged. Oh, you're wearing your glasses. Thank you. Oh, Prince Nazagi. Then I haven't left Quellenor after all. What? There's water there. That wasn't what I meant. Water. But considering the condition of my throat, I am more than willing to take the glass he indicates before continuing. How did I get here? There was quite a to-do about your unfortunate illness. It would seem that the king in his wisdom did not wish your death. That's reassuring, I guess. At the same time, they were highly reluctant to allow you to be removed to the care of a healer. You are, after all, a prisoner here and not permitted to travel or speak freely. But I'm not in the dungeon anymore. You're in my own quarters. I quite kindly volunteered my services on your behalf. And they trusted you? No offense intended, my lord, but your reputation does precede you. Certain precautions were required, of course. There are now guards stationed outside my rooms. And my own valet, Yorick, has taken your place in the dungeons as an incentive to prevent your escape. And if I die here, the blame falls on you, not on Quellenor. Indeed. Not that it would happen, of course. I fall back against the pillows, exhausted. You're very confident of your skills. I should be, considering that I supplied the poison that felled you myself. Oh, you... What? Why the heck did you poison me? I didn't think we were getting on that badly. Jeez. He what? Oh, of course. That was his way of getting me out. Wasn't there a less painful way to do that? Your Highness? Good grief. Although, it worked, I can't argue to its effectiveness. I keep my face still, hiding any reaction as I try to process this. So, you planned all of this in order to get me out of the dungeon. Very clever. Clever and potentially disastrous. Through no fault of my own, I have now broken out of my imprisonment. If the king realizes that it wasn't a natural illness, he might consider this a violation of our agreement. Oscar could be in danger. Still, antagonizing my only ally won't make it better. Or, is he my only ally? Perhaps this is part of a plan. Did you speak to Prince Callum? No. Then why, when I arranged to cross Callum's path, I discovered that he had been assigned a new valet. One Dolores Orpha. What? That's impossible! So you say. I say that I am tired of moving these shells blindly. I have sacrificed my best piece to put myself under suspicion and gain access to you. No more delays. Tell me what you know. This has all gotten far too complicated. Nazagi's involved, his poor valet is involved, Oscar is at risk, and I still have no idea what's going on. What have I gained? A variety of new aches and pains and a more comfortable bed to lie in. Useless. It's far too late to change course now. The cards have been dealt. We have to play them out. Sorry, before I continue, I was just looking at the picture. Who changed me out of my dress? Ahem. Fine. Just let me finish this water and I'll tell you what happened. Speaking of, that sounds like a good idea, Madeleine. I shall have some water myself. I sip slowly, trying to put my thoughts in order. How to tell the tale. Princess Cassidy has spent most of her life cooped up here for her own safety. She's never been allowed out. Even her own brothers weren't allowed to see or speak to her. Callum resented that. He came up with a plan to get her away from her parents and her minders. It was Callum who attacked Oscar in the rose garden. Only a slight widening of his eyes betrays his surprise. Prince Nazagi is not the sort to argue or interrupt until a tale is done. From there I sum up the events. Callum leaves Cassidy in his rooms. Dolores takes her from there and leaves a ransom note while sending me off on a pointless quest to search Nazagi's room. Callum forces me into his service, and we pilfer the treasury and escape the castle through a secret passage, the details of which I did not disclose. It has no bearing on current events, and it is not my secret to share. The next morning, we went to the rendezvous, and that's when we found out it was Dolores. We managed to capture her and rescue Cassidy, and we headed back to the castle. Then we encountered a lone guard who, instead of helping us, called Cassidy an imposter and attacked her. So Callum killed him. He wanted to kill Dolores when he found out what she'd done, but Oscar and I managed to stop him. I can't imagine him taking that woman as his valet. He despises her, and she's nowhere near qualified. Anyway, that was the last obstacle before we returned. When we arrived here, the guard split us up. The king in his wisdom wanted to talk to Oscar and Callum and Cassidy alone because of royal privilege. I waited with Dolores to keep an eye on her. Then, all of a sudden, I was arrested. I expected Friedrich and Paloma to cover for Callum's part in all this. I didn't expect them to pin the blame on me. I had to agree to give a false confession in order to protect Oscar and escape with my life, but I don't know why. I haven't been able to reach either Callum or Cassidy since we returned. An interesting tale. Yet, what it all comes down to is that you don't actually know what's going on. I know a lot more than you did. What I don't understand is Dolores' part in all this. She's not qualified even to be a page, much less a valet. She told me she was a foundling, a nameless peasant who received a place here out of royal charity. She said the ransom gold would buy her a new life far from here. She was afraid she'd be hanged for her crimes. It all sounded believable. But it must be a lie. Otherwise, why would the king in wisdom protect her? I would like to know this too. Oscar said that they had to punish me because they refused to punish anyone else. Oscar is a guest of royal blood. Callum and Cassidy are their own children. Dolores is nobody. Not to mention that she was actually guilty. I like how angry my eyes are. I mean, Madeleine's eyes. So, why are they doing this? What? A possibility. What possibility? Why should I tell you? You've already given me everything you know. You are weakened from the effects of my drug. You are officially a criminal and an invalid with no freedom of movement. What use are you to me now? Oh. You gave up your valet to get me. I'm now the only agent you have who can see things clearly. Perhaps, but can you be trusted? Are you willing to work on my behalf and promote my interests, so long as they do not endanger your Prince Oscar? Even to the point of helping me to win the hand of the heir of Guelinor? If you'd asked me that question while I was still in my prison cell, I might have had to think about it. But now the choice has been made for me. It's too late to keep my head down and wait for an ignominious return to Ascendaware. I'm in too deep. Working with Nazagi offers me my only chance to unravel this mystery. And that's not the only detail which must be considered. It's not only a question of right here and right now. There is a matter of the future. My future. My first loyalty remains to Oscar, of course, but I had already realized the truth. He and I must eventually go separate ways. I can't stay with him forever. The very best that I could have hoped for would have been to settle him in a prestigious marriage, such as a match with Princess Cassidy. That now seems out of the question. Even if I can turn around our current disgrace, Oscar clearly said that he does not want to stay in Guelinor. However, if my assistant succeeds in bringing Prince Nazagi to the throne, I am with you, my lord. Good. Rest a bit. When you think your stomach can handle it, I will summon a light meal. And then, my dear, we will scheme. Ooh, I'll get my schemy fingers ready. Chapter 6C, The Web. Is everything going to be associated with spiders? Prince Nazagi's idea of a light meal turns out to involve even less flavor than the rations I received in the dungeon. Nothing but gruel, dry bread, and weak tea. Ugh. Considering the tender condition of my stomach, that may be for the best. I have been fed and watered and rested, probably bathed as well while I was still unconscious. Few would expect a prince to be a competent sick nurse, particularly a prince with such a sinister reputation, and yet the two aspects are not unrelated, it would seem. You look uncomfortable. Are the pains still bothering you? I'm trying not to wonder if you've added anything to my food this time. Of course I have. What? Nothing harmful, my dear. You are still suffering the side effects. The powders I've added will soothe you. I like that he called me my dear. He may be telling the truth. There's nothing to say that all potions must be harmful. The reason that no one trusts the pharmakeist is that there's simply no way to know. This bothers you, doesn't it? Do you always drug your servants? Only when it's useful. He picks up a small string of colored wooden beads and begins to idly spin them about his slender fingers. Many skills which are uncommon here are common in Asenath. I am sure your homeland has its specialties as well. Everyone in Asenath learns to mix potions? Not everyone. Only those who have studied with a master. We respect the search for knowledge. We're very respectful of the knowledge. That's why everyone's afraid of it. A mix of toxins can bring about a painful death. That is true. But is that so different from what any common woman or man can do with a knife in hand? I can see a knife and defend myself against it. Can you defend yourself against an arrow or a bullet? A sniper's shot can only do harm. With the right herbs, a master can heal. Some things, at least. Not all. Well, you do seem to know what you're doing. Strange as his ways may be, they have worked so far. I finish my meal, conscious of his scrutiny, and sit up straight in my chair. So, how can I help you? You said you thought of something. Yes, a most interesting possibility. Tell me, with your eyes, is there any resemblance between Princess Cassidy and the former page, Dolores? That's an interesting question. I mean, aside from the fact they both had pink hair. Resemblance? I'm not sure. Not really. Their faces are very different. Of course, I've never seen Dolores look happy, and I've never seen Cassidy scowl. That's part of the difference. So, in the details, they are very different. With my vision, the details are harder to see. To my eye, they are both young women of a similar age, with similar build and coloring. It is largely hair and clothing that sets them so far apart. I tried to imagine Dolores in a velvet gown with her hair long and well-tended. She might look a great deal better. Petulance could become haughtiness, attitude merely spirit. What? Petulance could become haughtiness. Attitude merely spirit. Don't quite understand that sentence. Still, the first thing anyone notices about Cassidy is her sweet nature. Dolores has nothing of the sort. You think she's being trained as a double? I doubt anyone would be fooled. Not exactly. He extends his left hand, palm up, as if holding or weighing an object. Miss Orpha, as they call her, must be of some significance for the king to go to such lengths to protect her. Then his right hand also palm up, supporting the small string of beads. There are persistent rumors among the lower classes of Guelenor that our Princess Cassidy is an impostor. He brings his two hands together and clasps them into fists. Do you see? Are you suggesting that Dolores is the real Princess Cassidy? What? What better reason for the crown of Guelenor to keep her close and safe? But why? Why would they turn their own heir out into the street and raise an impostor in her place? Are you familiar with the fate of Caspian, the youngest prince of Guelenor? He died of illness as a child. Unfortunately for poor Callum's hopes, that does appear to be the case. Imagine, if you will, that you are the ruler of a powerful nation. You have just lost a son, a tragedy even for one of many. But worse, now your only heir shows symptoms of that same disease. The stability of the kingdom depends upon her health, especially if the wisdom was unlikely to produce more children. So you conceive a plan to protect your line of succession, to avoid any risk of disaster. You exchange your princess for a healthy pauper's child. One infant is more or less like another, are they not? They could have their pick. A girl of the right age, whose hair and eyes favored the royal line, and the crisis would be resolved. I have no experience with infants myself, but I find it slightly hard to imagine them being so casually traded. Still, a poor family, a royal command, a mixture of bribes and threats for silence. It is far-fetched, but not impossible. So, you're suggesting that the true princess was given away because she was sickly. There are other possibilities. A threat at home might have encouraged the wisdom to raise her heir in secret, for example. Perhaps the plans went wrong. Perhaps she was lost and found. Perhaps she was meant to die and then recovered. But if, for whatever reason, the blood princess was sent away and later discovered in an orphanage, the king and wisdom could not acknowledge her, especially not with Dolores' rough edges. But they could invent an excuse to bring her to the palace and give her a position. Then when things went wrong, they would not execute their own child, so instead they promoted her to higher status. Could such a story really be true? It's a very interesting idea. This explains everything. It's too unbelievable. I don't know. I think I should side with him on this. I don't want to make him angry for no reason, as Madeleine said before. It is a very interesting theory. Strange as it sounds, it does make a certain degree of sense. King Praedric could never have pulled off such a switch without flaws. And there are flaws. Those rumors of an imposter that would never quite die down. Rumors strong enough to breed fanatics. Come to think of it, it was Dolores who first told me about that. And that she'd love to see a noblewoman exposed as a cuckoo. Cuckoo. Do you think she suspects? Perhaps. It's still only supposition, but it does tie together. It could explain why Cassidy was kept in such close seclusion all her life, if they were afraid of close scrutiny. And the way they treated Callum, they would want to avoid anyone seeing the siblings together. But if this is the true explanation, how does it benefit you? If this theory is correct, there is a chance that Dolores will be restored to a more honorable position. Particularly as oh gosh, I can't. I'm so sorry. What I meant to say was, particularly as current events have shown the flaw in keeping her nearby, while ignorant and resentful. Resentful seems like an accurate description. Dolores refused to explain to me why she chose to betray the masters that employed her. If she were aware, if she even suspected that so much more should be hers, she might have good reason to hate them. If she were, through some course of events, to become the acknowledged heir, there is much advantage to being gained in being the first eligible suitor to befriend her. Hey, no, don't court Dolores. You're supposed to be going after Madeleine. Certainly no other prince could currently expect that girl to become a king's wisdom. Nazagi could steal a march on the competition. And if they don't intend to acknowledge her? They haven't so far, and she's still far from polished. Far, far. If King Friedrich wishes that girl's origin to remain a secret, then he may be willing to make compromises. Of course, any such negotiation could not take place unless I were certain of the truth. In either case, I wish to make contact with Miss Orpha and attempt to learn more. Prince Nazagi places the string of beads upon the table surface and looks at me. Even with the spectacles to soften his face, his direct gaze is disconcerting. It is obvious that secrets are being hidden, and that someone hopes very much to keep them that way. As for you, you might have been killed out of hand, or locked away so securely that no visitor could reach you. But that act in itself would draw suspicion, make it too clear that you knew an inconvenient truth. Instead, the Crown has chosen to take the risk of pretending you are an ordinary prisoner. It is likely that they did not believe you to know the entire story. Only clues, which would require the right mind to be able to piece them together. Modesty is not one of his weaknesses, apparently. However, the tripwire remains in place. Under ordinary circumstances, I would send Yorick to meet this girl. But his help is denied me, and I myself may not be allowed to leave this room. So, if you are to be my assistant, how do you suggest I arrange a meeting with Dolores Orpha? I blink a few times. It's not enough that I've given up my secrets to him, or that I'm barely out of the sickbed that his poisons put me in. Apparently, I'm expected to prove myself again. Well, alright then, let's see what we can do. You said she's been assigned as Callum's valet. That can't be a comfortable pairing for either of them. Unless she truly is his sister and he's actually been told that, he must be eager to get rid of her. You, on the other hand, are without your usual aid, and you have a patient to look after. See if you can send a request to Callum to borrow his new servant. Interesting. I do believe that is a positive response. Yes, that could work, assuming that our watchdogs will allow me to send such a message. An unfolded note, plain for anyone to read, might appear less suspicious, but the phrasing... His face is like, oh, a knock. A sudden knock on the door disrupts our attempt at scheming. Okay, put my schemy fingers away. Inspection! Bedroom, now! Okay. You don't gotta force me, man. Those deceptively strong hands seize my arms, tugging me along in haste. Nazagi half shoves me onto the bed with a painful pressure on the back of my neck. Oh no, what'd you do now? No time to argue. I crawl under the sheets and arrange myself like a good little invalid. I hear the rapid opening and closing of drawers, and then Nazagi leaves to answer that knock. Someone is speaking outside, but I can't make out the words. My heartbeat is pounding too loudly inside my ears. Am I supposed to pretend that I've been in bed all this time? That won't be easy while I'm still breathing hard. The irony is, I suspect it's exactly because I'm still not quite well that I'm finding it so difficult to calm down. Think of windows and stillness and ladybugs. Think of dots. Heavy feet enter the room. As you can see, she has regained some of her senses, but remains too weak to be moved. You, prisoner, what do you have to say for yourself? That's not my potential friend Lambert speaking. Aw, darn. I'm not sure what he expects me to say. What? That wasn't intentional. My throat is suddenly clogged up. What point is there on your body that does that? I cough and blink a few times, trying to shake the sensation that I'm breathing through mud. Ah! Nazagi's hand pushes down on my shoulder, preventing me from trying to rise. As you can see, she is not yet able to speak. She is quite ill. Very well. On behalf of the Crown of Guelenor, I thank you for your service. Please inform the guards if you need anything else. Actually, there is something that I require. Having this criminal under my care creates a great deal of disturbance, especially when I have been deprived of the attentions of my personal assistant. And the maids seem very neglectful. I haven't seen one in days. I require fresh blood. Blood, sir? Yes, someone new. A hall boy. Even a guardsman would do. I'm not certain. My duties do not permit. Of course. Take a message to Prince Callum, then. Ask him if he has any servants that he can spare. That is the last I hear, as Prince Nazagi guides his discomfited visitor away from my sickbed. Free from scrutiny, I continue to hack and cough. What is wrong with me? What happened to my voice? Am I going to choke to death? When Nazagi returns alone, I slap the mattress to get his attention and claw at my throat. Yeah. One moment. He retrieves his spectacles from the dresser drawer. It is in your interest that I see clearly for this. He steps closer and, with one fluid movement, reaches his hands around my neck. Unyielding fingers press a point behind my head, and I can feel something shift. Ugh! There now. Breathe slowly and drink more water. I'll be in the main room. Without further comment, he releases me and withdraws. I draw a deep breath and test my voice again. Slimy, arrogant. And then I let the rest of my breath go. There's no sense in wasting it.